Okay, what's up everyone? Welcome to the inaugural S.L.R. For those of you who don't know, our team name is S.L.R, SpeedLab Racing, but this S.L.R is the Silly Little Race. I made the name up today and I kind of like it. And not only that, it describes exactly what we're doing today. Nick and I decided to have a neutral rollout until this first right turn that we're going to hit soon.
Alright, it's on.
Alright, you heard it. Game on. We chose a course that is about 4 miles in length. I think we do about 4.5, maybe close to 5 miles on this particular race. The course here is pretty flat, so it'll even out the playing field a little bit. Nick is definitely stronger than I am in terms of raw watts and also watts per kilogram. So if the course was hilly, he would definitely have a bigger advantage. Even on this flat course, honestly, if we ran this 100 times, I would probably think that he's going to win about 95 out of the 100. So I'm definitely the underdog. I definitely feel like a David versus a Goliath. So the absolute number one thing that I have to do during this race is draft as much as possible. If you compare the data throughout the race, you can see how big of an advantage it is to be drafting. Thankfully, I brought my third GoPro today so that I could strap it to Nick's bike, and now we have data from both of us. So I think this will definitely be a pretty cool perspective to have. So you can see here Nick is pushing pretty hard at this point. I'm sitting in his draft, so I get that benefit right now. You can see the difference in the wattage that we're putting out. So I'm not exactly sure why Nick was doing this, because this was definitely to my advantage here. So I did mention that I want to draft as much as possible during this race, but at the same time I don't want to just sit in the entire time. For me, because I'm a really anaerobic rider, and because I also want to keep this race a little bit more dynamic, in my mind I'm thinking that I'm going to attack every once in a while. Today I chose to attack either when it's on a slight drag uphill or when we were approaching a corner, because I was thinking that I could attack into the corner, rail the corner pretty hard, and then if I had a gap out of the corner, then I can just keep on the power. Alright, so this is my first attack here. The relative effort up to this point is pretty lopsided because I've been drafting this whole time so far, so I wanted to put an attack here and make Nick work a little bit. Now this is really interesting to see. We are maintaining the same speed, but if you look at the wattage, I'm actually putting out a little bit more power than Nick is. It could be that I'm lighter, it could be that I'm less aero, or both. Either way, I have a large enough gap that I feel like he's not really benefiting from my draft, so I just keep pushing on. There is a right turn coming up soon, and I see a car there, and there's a little bit of sand on the corner, so I just decide to shut down the attack. Alright, so Nick's back on my wheel, and the reason I'm looking back at him a few times is because I'm really mindful of the fact that once he's back on, if he attacks over the top and catches me off guard, then that could be a problem. Because like I mentioned before, Nick has a higher threshold than I do, and the difference is significant enough that if he gets a gap and I'm not on his wheel, he would essentially be able to TT to the finish on his own, so that would be game over for me. So now we're back to normal riding position, where I'm on Nick's wheel. I think on this particular day, this direction had a light headwind. And yeah, Nick's not pushing very hard on the front, but look at how little I'm pedaling. So yeah, this is fantastic. So here he goes. Nick puts in an attack from the front. I don't let him get any leash whatsoever because of what I said before. I want to stay glued to his wheel as much as possible. So even in a one-on-one situation, attacking from the front, you lose the element of surprise, and you also have no speed differential when you are making your attack. So this one was definitely easier for me to cover. So if you're ever racing in a group setting too, attacking from the back Having the element of surprise, having some speed differential so that you can get a gap is the recommended way. So another way that you can ensure that you get a gap when you make your attack is to attack when someone is fueling. um, I do hesitate a little bit here, but I still attack when he's putting his bottle back. Some might call this being cheap. I call it being savvy. So on this particular attack, I look back and I don't get the gap that I really want. So I basically just sit up. So Nick does a good job of surprising me here. He does a good job of attacking from behind. And just the mere fact that I wasn't able to see him get up out of the saddle, he's able to get a small gap on me. But I definitely have to push pretty hard to stay on terms with him. My turn again. So we're coming up to another turn here. So I attack in the hopes that I can rail the corner.
Car up.
And there's a car up in the intersection, so I actually decide to just neutralize it again. So you'll see I take the corner pretty slowly, and then I look back at Nick again to monitor his actions.
Car up. Car back. Car's back.
So this whole time I've been periodically checking back. I don't know if you guys caught it, but I think there was one moment where Nick was about to attack, but I looked right at him. So I think he decided against it. But then he finds his opportunity, and then he puts in a pretty hard attack here. Okay, so ever since the last attack that Nick made, I've been on his wheel. So I've been conserving as much energy as I possibly can for the finish. In my head, I was debating whether I wanted to go from about maybe 400 or 300 meters to go, which would definitely be a slightly longer sprint, or if I wanted to just stay on Nick's wheel and do maybe a 10-second sprint at the end with 150 or 100 meters to go. This whole time Nick has been pulling, I kind of felt like his legs might be slightly drained, which in theory, in my mind, I was thinking it would be harder for him to do a longer sprint. So I was keeping my eyes up the road because we had designated that white 45 mph sign as the finish. Now that I have this data on the screen, I see that I go from about 300 meters to go. I try to snap pretty hard from the back, and then I just gotta empty it into the line. I look back once, and you definitely don't want to waste any energy by looking back too much on a sprint. And he's closing! We're a few meters from the line, and I see him out of the corner of my eye here. And it came down to a bike throw. And your boy won! Woo woo! Honestly, it's a little bit demoralizing that it was that close after almost everything went perfectly for me. If we had maybe another meter or two, I think Nick would have pipped me. But yeah, I'll leave you guys here with the stats for Nick's race and my race. But the next time we come out here, we'll have more people with us, and we'll have fun doing another silly little race. Okay, thanks for watching.